As a newlywed, aside from how's the married life, one of the other frequently asked questions is, how did you prepare to date? Or how did you prepare for marriage? And I always say that my preparation started well before I even met my husband. A lot of people talk about the work that you should do while you're dating or while you're seeing someone, but not many people talk about the work that you need to do before you actually start to date. If you do not do the work before you date, you can end up ruining a good relationship or end up in another toxic relationship. So I can remember it was 2022. I just moved back home. I was sitting in my room. My room was an absolute mess, okay? And I heard God clear as day, clean your house. And I looked around. I'm like, what do you mean? I don't have a house. This is not a house. And then he said it again, clean your house. And he said that because I was just sitting and my mind was just going rapidly about everything that went wrong, where I was, what I was going to do next. And he gave me instruction to clean my house. There are 3 steps to cleaning your house. That is the cleaning, the enjoying, and the maintaining. And I know you're thinking what does this have to do with, relationships? But it had everything to do with relationships, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And so as I was looking around in my room, in my house, I could see a reflection of my life in my room. It was a mess. Everything was all over the place. It was trash in there that I didn't throw away. It was things that I needed to get rid of that I was holding on to, okay? It was no space for everything that I had in there. And a lot of those things didn't even serve me purpose. And if I look at my room and think about my life at the time, it was an exact replica of what was happening in my life. I had people that I needed to get rid of. I had, habits that I needed to get rid of. I had trash that needed to be thrown out, but it was just sitting in my, my view. And even though I had 2 failed relationships that completely wiped me out, right? I had just other things that wasn't going well. I still had hope. I'm like, no, I will not believe that this is my life and that I won't be able to find love or that I won't be able to have a successful career. I just refuse to believe that my life was going to be a mess. And so he spoke to the desire of my heart, which was, I want to be married. I desire to be married and I desire to be successful. God had actually led me to this verse, right? After he told me to clean my room, and I cleaned up my room, and I was sitting there, and he led me to this verse, and it's 1 Peter chapter 2, verses 1-6, and I'm going to read it. Therefore, rid yourself of all malice and all deceit, hypocrisy, envy, and slander of every kind. Like newborn babies, crave pure spiritual milk, so that by it you may grow up in your salvation. Now that you have tasted that the Lord is good, as you come to him, the living stone, rejected by humans but chosen by God and precious to him, you also, like living stones, are being built into a spiritual house to be a holy priesthood, offering spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God through Jesus Christ. This scripture, it spoke to me because it was not only a call to clean up my life, but it was also a comforting hug, because he's like, yeah, you've been rejected and you've been, treated poorly by man, but I chose you and I love you and you're precious to me. And I treat you with the respect that you deserve to be treated. But in the beginning, it said to rid yourself of malice and envy and all of these things that are not acceptable to God. And that's exactly what I needed to do. Cleaning my house meant more than just cleaning up and cutting people off and doing this and that. It also meant really cleaning up the internal mess that was inside of me, that was not a reflection of what I wanted my life to be, nor was it a reflection of what was acceptable to God. And again, you may be still wondering, what does this have to do with relationships? Well, up until this point, I have been going through some similar cycles, like dating the same type of people, coming into the same type of problems, ending up in the same position. Like, that was not the first time I was in that position where my room was a mess and my life was a mess and my career was a mess. That was not the first time I was in that. predicament. So God had to reveal to me the work that I need to do within myself first before I can get to the things that I desire. And that is very important, especially if you find yourself dating the same type of person. And ultimately, you might start pointing the finger like, oh man, these guys out here or these women out here, they just, they this and they're that. But at the end of the day, you have to be held accountable for why you keep attracting the same type of people. Why do you keep up ending in the same type of relationships? Why do you end up in the same cycles? There is work to do on the inside of you as well. And in order for me to do the work, that meant I had to be honest about who I was, where I was, and what I was doing. When I thought about what I was actually doing, I was drinking a lot. I was smoking a lot. I was having sex a lot. And I was watching movies and shows that was not a reflection of the life that I knew God wanted me to live. And I was listening to music that was not a reflection of the life that I knew God wanted me to live. Now, those things are important because it was a reflection of how I felt on the inside. So if I'm drinking a lot, I'm trying to mask something. If I'm smoking a lot, I'm trying to escape from somewhere. If I'm watching TV shows with drama and, heartbreak and all of these other things, all of those things are a reflection. They were a reflection of my life. And so I had to get down to the root. Okay, so why are you drinking so much, right? And so if I try to stop drinking, okay, let me just sit with my feelings for real instead of throwing back, these bottles. Let me get to the root of these feelings. Why am I feeling like that? And then that really led me to God because he was able to kind of nurture me and nurse me through that. If I'm thinking about my emotional health, right? Again, who am I? What am I doing emotionally? I was cut off. I wasn't trying to feel, and that's unhealthy. Looked at it like I was preserving myself, right? You put up a wall so nobody can get in, nobody can, touch you.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, sweetheart.
How are you going to have a successful relationship if you have up emotional walls? You cannot have a healthy relationship with those type of emotional habits. I also was still recovering from my past relationships. I was in a 6-year long relationship with someone who had narcissistic qualities. I'm not going to diagnose anybody because I'm not a doctor. However, it was very rough on me, on my identity. I was still recovering from that. I was building up myself from being put in the dirt, 10 feet under. And I was also recovering from a rebound relationship with someone who I thought that I was actually gonna marry, but didn't work out. And so I had to really reflect what was going on in my life, deal with it, and not try to cover it up or escape from it, because I was not gonna be able to run from it. Otherwise, I was going to end up in this same situation again. And I was not letting that happen. Also, my physical weight. Again, who are you? What are you doing? Be honest. I was severely underweight. Like, you could see my ribs, okay? I was not eating. It was clear that I was stressed out. It was clear that I was depressed. And it was clear that I was unhealthy. So I had to clean my house, get that in order. And last but not least, my spiritual health. I was on my journey with, finding God and living for him and really figuring it out, coming to terms with what that actually meant, right? I was lukewarm. I was reading the Bible, but I'm smoking a blunt. I was, praying to God, but I'm getting drunk. Like, it just wasn't mixing. It's oil and water, baby, not mixing. Is either you're going to be all the way in, you're going to be hot, or you're going to be cold. Which one are you going to be? And so I had to really be honest with myself and say, is the life that I'm living a reflection of the life that God wants me to have? Is this life a reflection of what I want, what I desire? If I desire a healthy relationship that requires trust and honesty and transparency and love, can I give that in this situation that I'm in right now? Can I give that? I cannot be open and honest if I have a wall put up. I can't trust if I'm still recovering from an untrustworthy partner. I can't give love, and I can't be soft, and I can't be welcoming if I'm hurt and I'm, trying to protect myself, right? I can't have a godly marriage if I'm still lukewarm. I'm not even living the life that God, it says in his word that he wants me to live. A double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. And I literally had to decide what was worth it. Was me, feeling good, for a moment worth not feeling good for the rest of my life? Was me masking my feelings, not wanting to feel, shutting everybody off because it was easier? Was that worth not being able to live the life that I desired, not being able to have the marriage that I desire? And let me tell you something. I'll give a preview to my marriage right now. Today, my marriage is blissful. It is easy. It is copacetic. Does that mean we don't have to work through challenges? No, but that means that since we both did the work, it's so much easier to go through challenges when you are not carrying all of these extra bags. Like, how can you climb up a mountain when you got a bed, you got a dresser, you got a couch, you got a refrigerator, you got a deep freezer? You're not going to be able to make it up there. Versus if you just got on your nice little leggings, you got on a small backpack for your necessities. But we going up the mountain real quick and easy, real smooth. That doesn't mean that the climb isn't difficult. But without all of that extra baggage, I'll be able to make it up there. You get my drift? You feel me? Okay. Now I know I've condensed this cleaning portion into a very short video, but I will give out a disclaimer. It took some time. It didn't take me years to do, right? Because I ended up meeting my husband in the following year. Actually, I think I met my husband within 6 months of me doing this. However, I was able to clean my house so quickly because I was ready. I was open, I was honest, and I did the work. But that may not be your story. So I really want you to consider all things, right? I have been through things before and I have worked through things before. So it was easy for me to kind of just like go into motion. Like, God talked to me. He's like, get this together. I'm like, cool, boom, done. Easy, right? But it may not be that easy for you, and it may not be that easy for everything, right? Some things take time. It took me a longer time to stop smoking than it did drinking. It took me a long time to stop having sex than it did smoking. It took me a little bit to let go of some of that music than it did everything else. And so you have to be patient with yourself and know that it's going to take time. And you're not going to be perfect along the way, but as long as you're intentional, everything is going to work out. And so after you cleaned your house, right? You wiped out everything. You like, ooh, it smelled good. It looked good. I can eat off the floor up in here. It's clean. Then you have to do the uncomfortable part. Well, one of the uncomfortable parts. And it's sitting and enjoying your clean house. Getting to know the new space. Getting to see that floor that you've never seen before. Getting to smell that sweet smell that you've never smelled before. Getting to speak in that language that you've never spoken in before. Getting to enjoy the hard work that you've done. That does not mean go get in a relationship or go date. No. I don't care how cute he is or she is. This is not the time to go on a date. Just because you cleaned your house, yeah, honey, we work hard. You did that. But it is not the time to go out on a date.
What? What are you talking about, man?
This is the time where you get to enjoy the new house. This is a whole new house. I mean, I know it's a clean house, but baby, this is rebuild, remodel. Because depending on what you got going on in your house, baby, you might have to gut out the wall. You might have had some mold, some termites, okay? You might have had a couple of floods. So you might have a whole new thing going on. Your bathroom that used to be on the left is now on the right. Like, you need to get to know your new house. And how you going to invite somebody over and you don't even know your house? They like, hey, what's this over here? You like, I don't even know. No, you don't invite somebody over your house before you've enjoyed your house. So enjoy your house. Get to know the new space. Amen. Get to know what you like, what you don't like. And for me, what I was recovering from, I had completely turned into a new person. When I tell you that when I left one of them relationships, not only did I not look like myself, I didn't feel like myself. I was not even going by my name, right? I went by an artist I lied, but I had a completely different identity. And so a part of cleaning my house, it was getting rid of some termite damage, or the termites themselves, getting rid of mold damage. Like, I had to gut it out, okay? I had to pull back some walls that I built, and I revealed doors, honey. I was revealing authentic wood, okay? I was recovering some good stuff.
My God! Wow!
And so I had to polish that wood, okay? I had to clean some areas, some bring some vintage antique stuff back to life. I had to, love on my home, but also enjoy it. Okay? And that took some time. It wasn't a long time, right? Because God did his thing when he sent me my husband, okay? However, this was still a part of the process. And again, your process is not my process, okay? Your time length is not my time length. So do not pace and judge yourself based off of somebody else's story. This may sound familiar. You might be going through some similar things. You might not have to do as much cleaning as I have to do. Maybe you just need to sweep a little bit, dust some places that you haven't dusted before, but you still need to take the time to enjoy your clean house. Get to know your new space. Get to know what that lamp looks like without dust on it, because every time you looked at it before, it was covered with dust. Maybe you need a new lampshade. I don't know. You need to go shopping or something like that. But just please do not prematurely go on dates in this step. Okay? So now you've done the work. Now you've enjoyed your new home, your new space. No, it is not time to go out on a date. Not yet. Now it's time for you to maintain your space. Can you maintain a clean house? That's how you're going to know if you've truly made the transformation. That's how you'll know when you're truly ready to start preparing yourself for dating. Now, this is like pre-prep. You know how when you wash your hair, you get the pre-poo? Okay, and I know we did some cleaning, so you're like, well, isn't that washing? No, not in this way, okay? That's like the pre-poo. Got some detangling, you cleaned out some dirt, got some dirt balls out of there or something. I don't know. But it's not time for you to go on a date now. Now it's time for you to see if you can actually maintain a clean house. So in this step, you can establish some habits, right? Establish a new schedule. Establish maybe some new shows that you can watch. Establish a new playlist that you can listen to. Establish a prayer time. Okay? You have to figure out a strategy, a structure, a plan for you to be able to maintain this new life that you worked so hard to build and that you've enjoyed, and now you have to maintain it. Okay? And so that is the 3 steps of cleaning your house. You clean, you enjoyed, and you maintain. And now stay tuned to part 2 of Preparing for Dating series. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really do hope that this was helpful to you. Thank you. And if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing to my channel and clicking the notification bell so that you can be notified when the next video is posted. So that the light was good.